Hello, glad you can join us. Here's what we have for you this Thursday. A dark day for Toronto police with at least 7 officers accused of corruption and more.
A painful and unsettling moment.
Inside the alleged ties to organized crime.
The blood on the porch, that was one we did. It came back to Nancy.
What police are revealing about the search for a missing mother.
Of the auto industry is increasingly electric.
Plus Ottawa's multi-billion-dollar jolt and what it could mean for the auto sector.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
A massive organized crime investigation has shaken the Toronto police force. At least 7 officers are facing a slew of charges, including conspiracy to commit murder, extortion, drug trafficking, and providing personal information to hitmen. The probe was led by police north of the city. CTV's John Musselman looks into Project South and the bombshell allegations. John.
Sandy, this is being described as a complex conspiracy involving allegations of bribery, gun violence, and even attempted murder.
2 cars in front of them just wandering down the middle of the road. Cars coming up behind.
This is police video of just one incident.
Those are our vehicles. Let's take them down right now. Contain.
That highlights the devastating allegations filed against 7 Toronto police officers and 1 retired officer.
Over the grass into a car.
Investigators allege 3 masked men attempted to murder an Ontario corrections manager at his home in York Region in June. The suspects were allegedly leaked personal information by Toronto Police Constable Timothy Barnhart.
We allege that this officer then released the information to a Mr. Brian DaCosta, and from there it was released further into other criminal networks.
The allegations against the Toronto officers include bribery, obstruction of justice, drug trafficking, theft of personal property, breach of trust, and the unauthorized access of confidential information. The information was handed over to organized criminal figures. It led to shootings in the GTA and in southern Ontario. At least 1 shooting is connected to the gun violence plaguing the tow truck industry.
This news is both shocking and completely unacceptable. Corruption has no place in policing.
Toronto Police Chief Myron Demkew calls it a painful moment for the force, and he has asked the Inspector General of Policing to investigate.
This is a painful and unsettling moment. It needs to be addressed openly, and it needs to be addressed honestly. The allegations against 7 Toronto police members and 1 retired member are deeply disappointing.
Clayton Campbell is the president of the Toronto Police Association.
If proven true, our members do not tolerate this sort of stuff. We are so indebted to the public for trust. If we don't have public trust, we have nothing.
The allegations also include officers accepting bribes to obstruct police action against illegal activity. At least 19 other civilians have been charged in connection with this investigation. Chief Demkew says he is committed to holding the accused officers accountable, and he says the Toronto Police Services Board has not asked for his resignation, considering these findings came under his leadership. More than 400 officers were involved in these internal investigations, and police say this investigation is ongoing. Sandy?
All right, CTV's John Musselman. Now, this could well be one of the largest and most serious cases of corruption facing Toronto police and has implications nationwide. CTV's Jonathan Valley-Rao tackles that angle of the story for us. Hey, John.
Sandy, the foundations of policing here in Toronto are certainly being shaken by the charges. For police, not just in Toronto, but across the country, the allegations came as a huge disappointment.
We're talking a corruption level here that's it's on the edge of a blockbuster movie that would be made up to follow with The Godfather, if you will.
Some experts say it could be the biggest investigation of police corruption ever, not just in Toronto, but in Canadian history, eclipsing the 5 former Toronto drug squad officers found guilty more than a decade ago of attempting to obstruct justice. with some wondering if it points to a potentially wider culture problem within Toronto's force.
I think it may be more of a greed issue. These people were, there are charges with respect to accepting bribes. Was that the motivation behind all this? I don't know. We'll have to find out at trial.
The case may also point to a growing crisis with organized crime. It was in part connected to a tow truck turf war in Toronto that led to a slew of shootings and arsons.
The allegations that organized crime is influencing police is really, quite unprecedented in my experience.
It's been estimated more than 4,000 organized crime groups are currently operating in Canada. And some think today's announcement should serve as a wake-up call.
I think it shows that their tentacles are a lot longer than most people suspect.
Still, others say police corruption is very rare and worry the reputation of officers everywhere is being hurt.
No, I just hope that the public focuses on all the good and doesn't let these few bad apples ultimately destroy the image of policing in this country. We're way bigger and better than that.
Meanwhile, some are already suggesting that a public inquiry may ultimately be necessary. Sandy.
Thanks, John. Now, the RCMP has launched a sexual assault investigation in Nova Scotia related to hockey hazing incidents involving a team in Truro. That's about 100 kilometers from Halifax. Investigators say a young person came forward to report an assault that happened at a team gathering in October. 3 young people now face charges including sexual assault with a weapon and assault with choking. Police also believe offenses occurred at other locations and involved other victims. Hockey Nova Scotia has suspended the team while the matter is under investigation. Complaints about the incidents were also brought to the attention of Hockey Canada. That information coming to us from TSN's Rick Westhead, who's been speaking to some folks involved with the minor hockey team. Rick?
Sandy, I've been speaking in recent days with hockey families in and around Truro, Nova Scotia, and they tell me they're angry and shocked at these criminal charges that were announced today. I've been speaking with criminal lawyers who specialize in sexual assault cases, and they say that Canada's criminal code calls for maximum jail sentences of up to 3 years for cases like this. There are no mandatory minimums, and there is no automatic inclusion for youth who are convicted of sexual offenses in Canada's National Sexual Offenders Registry. It's possible that a Crown in this case, if there's a conviction, could apply to have the people convicted sentenced as adults, but I'm told that's extremely unlikely. Also important to point out that Hockey Canada, I'm told, was tipped off about the culture of this locker room, and its independent third party has been investigating this case since at least early December. That investigation is now on hold while the criminal case works its way through the system. Sandy?
Okay, TSN's Rick Westhead. Thank you, Rick. New information was revealed today about the arrest of top Canadian hockey prospect Gavin McKenna. The 18-year-old from Whitehorse was allegedly caught on video punching a man in the face twice. Police say 2 men with the alleged victim identified McKenna. The NHL prospect, who plays for the Penn State hockey team, faces multiple charges. All right, if you are in the market for a car, you will want to hear our next story. The Prime Minister has unveiled a new national auto strategy that includes an end to the electric vehicle mandate, but the return of EV rebates. CTV's Rachel Aiello has all the details for us and reaction from the industry. Rachel.
Sandy, the new roadmap for the auto sector has 2 driving factors: ensuring Canada becomes less reliant on the U.S. and on gas-powered vehicles. A national auto strategy for the next generation. Today, the government unveiled a 5-pillar and multi-billion-dollar plan to protect jobs and reward companies making vehicles in Canada.
The future of the auto industry is increasingly electric and connected. And so to remain competitive and to realize our potential, we must develop the entire value chain for next-generation vehicles.
To help Canadians afford them, starting February 16th, consumers who purchase electric vehicles will be eligible for a new rebate. The government is offering purchase or lease incentives of up to $5,000 for fully electric vehicles and up to $2,500 for plug-in hybrid models. There will be no price cap on Canadian-made cars, and only models coming from countries Canada has a free trade deal with will qualify if they cost less than $50,000. That means the rebate won't apply to Chinese EVs.
Today's announcement will directly support workers here in Ontario and across Canada.
Carney is also replacing the contentious EV sales mandate with new emission standards for future models, easing some of the pressure automakers are under.
This puts us on a path to greater electrification, while giving industry the flexibility it needs during a very difficult time for the economy and for the sector.
Hopefully we can get to a point where we continue to be tariff-free.
And car dealers say they're ready to stock up.
It's certainly encouraging that we'll be able to pass on some savings directly to the consumer, especially in a time of higher prices on really everything.
Beyond affordability, this country's lacking EV infrastructure remains a barrier to Canadians pulling the plug on gas-powered vehicles. And so today, Carney also promised $1.5 billion to build up this country's roadside charging network. Sandy?
All right, Rachel in Ottawa. Thanks, Rachel. Questions are being asked today about who Conservative MP Jamil Jivani chatted with on a solo mission to the U.S. Capitol and whether it was helpful in any way. CTV's senior correspondent, Mike LeCouture, on the meetings and the message he's sending back. Mike.
Well, Sandy, according to Jivani, he has a message of adoration from the president himself. But politicians on this side of the border are split on whether the Conservative MP should be having these meetings in the first place.
The proof is in the pudding.
The freestyle approach, I don't think serves us as a country.
Liberal cabinet ministers clearly skeptical that Conservative Jamil Jivani is making any progress on Canada-U.S. relations. That's despite a social media post from the Toronto-area MP saying he had productive meetings with the White House and State Department, adding, "The president asked me to pass along a message. Tell Canadians I love them."
I'm here in Washington, D.C., where I've been having some very productive, promising, and positive conversations.
It's unclear if Jivani met with President Donald Trump or his longtime friend, Vice President J.D. Vance.
No matter if it's a governor, a senator, or congresspeople, or part of the administration, I think we have to continue on with the pressure. So the more people that can get down there and have a conversation, all the power to you.
It can only serve to undermine the efforts overall on behalf of the people of Canada.
This former advisor to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Canada-U.S. relations is concerned about Jivani's visit, and she says he needs to debrief when he returns.
We will need to make sure that ideally Mr. Jivani is feeding back some of the limited information that perhaps he has procured from his conversations with Americans back to our embassy in Washington, back to other key representatives.
It comes as former Prime Minister Stephen Harper is in Ottawa preaching a stronger stance in dealing with the U.S.
We cannot allow the obvious attempt to move Canadian manufacturing south of the border. One-way tariffs introduced by the U.S. must be reciprocated.
Canada had removed a number of counter tariffs on the U.S. during the summer. Asked about Harper's suggestion, the finance minister said he thinks Canada has been playing its cards very well. Sandy?
Okay, Mike, thank you. A delegation of Canadians has landed in Greenland to support islanders still feeling anxious about U.S. ambitions to take over the autonomous territory. CTV's Abigail Beeman is traveling with the group and joins us from Greenland's capital. Hi, Abigail.
Sandy, there were about 65 Inuit leaders, community members, and youth on board, many with family or friends here in Greenland, and all wanting to send a message of unity. We are one people, the president of Mekivik, the group that organized the flight, said over the flight's PA, with Greenlandic and Canadian flags at every seat. Canadian and Greenland Inuit share a common ancestry and many connections. I spoke with an Inuk from northern Labrador who points out Greenland is just about 1,000 kilometers away. Everyone I spoke with felt it was important to have a presence at Canada's consulate opening Friday and show Greenlanders that Canada supports them in the face of threats from the U.S. president. Threats people in the delegation feel have parallels to Trump's 51st state threats to Canada, as well as with the Inuits' colonial past.
We as Inuit have an acute awareness of our history and what we've experienced, and all the current events involving Donald Trump have been very insulting to all Inuit everywhere. I think they've insulted me.
Canada's Governor General and Foreign Affairs Minister arrive here in the capital of Nuuk Friday to officially open Canada's consulate, promised in Canada's new Arctic strategy more than a year ago. Sandy?
All right, Abigail, thank you. Coming up, inside the desperate search for a television host's missing mother.
At this time, we have not identified a suspect.
What police are focusing on and what evidence they've collected. Please reach out to us. The emotional video plea from TV host Savannah Guthrie and her two siblings calling on whoever has their mother to release her. 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie has health issues and disappeared on the weekend. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbon with what police are saying today about the investigation. Joy?
Sandy, police believe Nancy Guthrie is still out there and still alive, revealing details about a ransom note and offering a $50,000 reward.
Mommy, if you are hearing this, you are a strong woman.
Choking back tears, a heartbreaking plea from Savannah Guthrie and her siblings for the return of their 84-year-old mother, Nancy. Police confirm that splatters of blood on Guthrie's front porch is hers. The FBI taking an alleged ransom note sent to the media seriously as it contains details and deadlines.
One talked about an Apple Watch and one talked about a floodlight. We're not going to go into specifics.
A doorbell camera was disconnected and software detected movement at the home. Though police say they have no suspects, the family is asking the kidnappers to contact them, demanding proof of life. Their mom is still alive.
We live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen.
The NBC anchor pleading with the kidnappers to make contact. Time is of the essence. Nancy Guthrie is in fragile health and needs daily medicine.
Mama, if you're listening, we need you to come home. We miss you.
Nancy was last seen Saturday night, reported missing when she didn't show up for church Sunday. Last night at a vigil,
we pray for our sister Nancy.
They're praying for her safe return. The president is personally involved, and after speaking with Savannah Guthrie, he's offered more federal resources, FBI agents, and experts in hostage negotiations. Sandy?
Okay, Joy, thank you. And we'll be right back. Setbacks already for some members of Team Canada gearing up to chase gold at the Winter Olympics in Milan. Today's women's hockey game was postponed, and some events will go ahead without star athletes. CTV's Heather Butts is in Milan with one day to go until the opening ceremony. Okay, Heather, talk to us about this bumpy start.
That's right, Sandy. Team Canada is already facing injuries and hard crashes, including snowboard sensation Mark McMorris, who will miss one major event, but he's still eyeing a comeback within these games. An alarming image of Mark McMorris following a crash yesterday in training. The 32-year-old three-time Olympic medalist confirming he hit his head and will not compete in the big air competition. In a statement, McMorris said, "Fortunately, things are looking good for slopestyle, so I'm staying positive and shifting my focus there." Snowboarder Tess Critchlow has already had to withdraw due to injury, and Canada has had to swap out athletes in men's hockey and figure skating in the team event because of injury.
For those who've been injured and unable to compete, I feel for them first and foremost, and therefore give them as much support to see if they can compete in the case of those where it's questionable.
Facing these early obstacles, there's also questions over how the Olympic team is preparing to handle competing against the Americans at a time of heightened tensions between the countries.
The rivalry with the United States is one that's decades and decades old in sport, and yet I think there's a little bit more riding on it.
That rivalry most anticipated on the ice, where it will be a monumental year for hockey, marking the return of NHL players in the men's tournament for the first time since 2014. Combine that with the first winter game since the Professional Women's Hockey League launched, putting a spotlight on an extraordinary depth of international talent.
This is an immensely talented team, and they're in their final preparations. And very soon we will see them walking into opening ceremonies to show the world just what Canadian excellence looks like.
While Team Canada faces injuries, Finland is dealing with illness. The two countries were supposed to face off tonight in women's hockey, but the game was postponed as the Finns battle the norovirus. Team Canada's first game will now go against Switzerland on Saturday.
Okay.
Sandy.
Heather, thank you. Heather is in Milan. Coming up, breaking the ice for a winter harvest. How oyster farmers are carving out a solution to the deep freeze. One of Canada's most prized catches, fresh PEI oysters, are tricky to harvest this time of year when they're buried under a thick sheet of ice. But farmers have mastered a technique to get their product to market. CTV's Maria Saru took to the ice for us today to get a closer look at how it's done. Maria.
Sandy, I'm standing on Rustico Bay, which is frozen over right now, and under all this ice are dozens of crates. Reaching them requires a mix of technology and muscle. From under the ice, a crew pulls up a full pod of PEI oysters. They're carefully placed on a platform before being wheeled off on an ATV across the bay.
The market dictates that we need oysters year-round.
So chainsaws cut into ice, and the winter work continues. It has to be at least 12 inches thick for crews to harvest safely. This year, that benchmark was met early, but before the season starts, pods are clustered into groups of 6 to 8. Their locations are logged on a GPS coordinating device, and a submersible camera drops down to find them.
The pod is right below that.
For Senior Oyster Farm Manager Jacob McMillan, the job shifts with the seasons.
Could be in the office one day, out on the boat one day, out on the ice another, snow plowing. So just the variety is brings a lot of joy to the work.
And he adds there's lots to learn from other operations. Here, a winch lowers the line, and muscle meets mechanics.
No two farms across PEI or across the eastern seaboard of the USA are the same. So trying to take little tidbits from different farms and integrate it into your own journey.
The oysters are loaded onto trucks, then shipped across the continent as far as California. With weeks of winter to go, crews will be back out here making sure oysters get to market even in these colder months. Sandy.
Good to know. Thanks, Maria. And thank you for sharing your time with us. I'm Sandy Ronaldo. Bye for now. Be well.